Hello, everyone, and welcome to our fourth webisode of our Lunch and Learn 2024 series. If you don't know already, I am Will Casterlow. I'm the owner and lead security analyst here at Triad Cyber Solutions. We are a managed service provider, which is just a fancy way of saying that we help businesses like yours to bolster their cybersecurity defenses and lower their risk from being hacked. But I also want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their lunch break and joining us here today for this segment here today. Okay. Normally we would talk directly to business owners, but today we have the privilege of also speaking with many of the employees from those businesses as well. That's because this segment will be about employee cybersecurity awareness training. We give all of this training to our clients, to their teams, because let's face it, knowledge is power. Now, we also have a little Q&A at the end. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to add them at chat, okay? And we will do our best to answer everyone at the end, okay? Now, here we have a little agenda of what we're going to be talking about today. Now, business owners, please note that even if your whole team is here today, training does not stop here, okay? Cybersecurity is an immersed topic, and it grows and changes every single day. So that's why it's important to have continuous training for your entire team. But before we get into it, I do want to take a moment to introduce my team who's with us today. One, we have Chantel Allwood, who is our VP of Operations and Client Relations. She is one you will talk to a whole lot. We have also Wasim Tahir. He's our cybersecurity analyst. You also will be speaking to him a lot in the event you have troubles, okay? And then we have Ralph Ravi. He's our web designer. We also have Lawrence Mallory. He's our account specialist. He's probably one of the ones that you spoke to or who has communicated to you about joining us or trying to register to see this webinar today. But together, we work hard to ensure that everything runs smoothly for our team while pursuing our mission to educate every business on how to defend themselves against hackers. All right, let's start here with the basics here, okay? In this first section, we're going to just make sure that you all have the basic understanding of what cybersecurity really is. It really could be impossible to teach you absolutely everything about cybersecurity in just a short amount of time. But we have with one another, we get a chance to show you what we have and start right here. Now, what is cybersecurity? As you can see, we have a summarized definition here. It's the art of protecting networks, devices, and data from unauthorized access and criminals. Now, that definition really has more to do with us, the experts. Here's how I want you to think about cybersecurity. Your company, your organization is a house. All cybersecurity is your security system. It's going to have, I'm going to have cameras that watch your outside. It's going to have alarms all on the doors and the windows. And what would be the break-in response team? Well, the team who calls for help and the help that shows up and secures your scene are the people like us, your cybersecurity provider. Now, even with all of those protocols, without the residents living inside the house there to lock the doors and the windows, the chance of someone walking in and burglarizing a home is much higher. That's where you come in. Now, there's three main components of a cybersecurity. That's prevention, detection, and response. I'm going to repeat that. prevention, detection, and response. Now, you as the employees, okay, you have a lot more of a part to play in the prevention and detection components. But we'll cover all three of those there, and still you do this in the response part, okay? Prevention. It's all about implementing security measures. Now, the business owners and your management team are responsible for ensuring all of the software, hardware is in place. That software and hardware are your cameras, right? But your part in this component is following the protocols. You need to lock the doors. In order for cybersecurity, in order for our cybersecurity terms, the things that look like this, these are some of the things that it looks like, okay? Making strong passwords, sending files securely, using methods like encryption. Now, here's another one, the third one, detection. Detection is just a big part of the prevention, excuse me. Like me, ask, let me ask you this right now. Do you know what a data breach looks like? A lot of people have that image of the screen glitching, getting a bunch of pop-ups on Windows, and having their entire system shut down. This does happen, but let me tell you that if you're waiting for that point, that hacker has been there for a long time and done a whole lot more to your system than just be able to shut it down. So you need to stay informed on the types of hacks out there and know how to avoid falling into those traps. Response. Response, though, is where you're mostly involved at the beginning and the end. So if you see the breach happening on your computer, you need to know who to report the breach to, and then you need to also make sure you direct it to a manager, the business owner themselves. Depending on the size of that company, you could be the one and be the same person, okay? But after that, it's up to your management team to kick out the hacker from the network, recover your lost data, and as much as they can, lock the door behind them. From there, you and the coworkers start over at prevention. It could be that there are more prevention protocols, or it can be that you all come under a review to ensure that these protocols are being followed. It just really depends on the type and size of the breach itself. Now, the reason you need to all know about these components is it's not just an IT problem anymore. Hackers are too advanced and they learn that they don't have to do that part of the attacking the system. That's because the entire cybersecurity industry has spent years on developing and improving the environment, the equipment, the systems needed to lock out hackers. So whether the cybersecurity experts can't reach people like yourself, they reach the employees. So because while we've been making advancements in the technology, the hard truth is that business world has not made its own advancements in training. This has left a significant vulnerability that is not only easy for hackers to exploit, but it's the most effective way to shut down a business quickly. I'm going to tell you about a story where we had saved a company where their network was compromised. The person was using an AOL email address. They had two other people. So let me start over. There was the company size was a size of 3. One person was using AOL, the other one was using Gmail, and another one was using Yahoo. They all had their personal emails. They're using their personal emails for business use. So they never had any issues. However, something came from AOL Mail that popped in, got a hold of their network, and from there, what we found, this was probably like, I want to say about 9 months ago, what we found out is the hacker actually got on their PC 4 months prior, and they waited for the attack. So what I'm saying to you is, because one, we have an issue with not using a properly managed domain email, one. Two, they did not have any type of cybersecurity protection. They were using ESET. They were using ESET. ESET is a very good known virus protection back in the day. However, they did not update. They were using the free version, and then they did not cover all the necessary precautions that they needed to take. So because of that, not going to lead into the story because there's a whole lot more involved. But from there, it started from AOL. It got into their network. It got into their network folders. This was an accountant. They were using QuickBooks and Sage, and it actually shut down their QuickBooks. It actually shut down their QuickBooks file. We got QuickBooks involved. However, the good thing or the bad thing was they were shut down for about 3 days. We got them up and running in about 72 to 84 hours. So, but because of that, they clicked on some information that they shouldn't have, which is part of training. Part of the training is identifying the phishing emails, identifying false advertisements. Part of the training is identifying what looks normal and what does not look normal. Just being able to see the everyday life of what you get and what you receive is not always what it should be. So again, this is where the cybersecurity training piece is very vital. And again, it can be one person, one wrong click, and it mess up everybody. Okay. We talked a lot. Well, now we talked a lot about what the role is. So let me break it down for you a little bit more. You got 6 ways that you can make sure you are doing your part. Number 1, we're going to creating and maintaining your company's security culture. One of the things I just talked about, having branded emails. Having a branded email is part of the culture also, okay? You are not just an end user anymore. You are the first line of defense against hackers. So when you understand the significance of your role and champion and a mindset that values and prioritizes cybersecurity, you become more vigilant, proactive, and better equipped to identify and respond potentially to incidents. Number 2, we're going to be being aware of what you're doing. I just stated in that example, the person was not aware of what email they clicked on. One, right? They were using the AOL mail. It doesn't matter what mailbox you were using. I know some people that are using NetZero. For those of you who remember NetZero back in the day, I have 2 clients that I know of. They're not being retained. How we're getting the extra cybersecurity measures, but they use a NetZero email address. Okay, but being aware that those are less secure. They're less secure. So being cautious of your interactions with technology, both inside and outside your workplace, is imperative. You have to have your systems updated. Anything you use that is outdated, you're more vulnerable to an attack, and you're more vulnerable to really make the whole company vulnerable by itself. That's another benefit to paying attention to the training you receive at work. These are transferable skills that you should be using in and out of the office. Number 3, practicing strong password creation and management. You need to create complex, unique passwords and reportedly update them. I recommend, we have our clients, we recommend every 90 days you change your password. We also recommend you have some type of password complexity rule where one, you can't use the same password again. Two, you can't just use numbers. Three, you have to use numbers, letters, uppercase, lowercase, and special characters. Okay, so very, very important. You should not be using the same password for your Facebook as the password for your work email. In fact, you shouldn't even be using the same passwords for more than one device or application in your office. The reason being, because it's kind of like an algorithm where they feel like, okay, well, once they crack one, most of the time people use that same one across the board for everything else, and they'll just try it. Okay. Number 4, we're going to keep this confidential. And what I mean by that is we're talking about NDAs. We're being careful when you emotionally download to your partner about work or the end of day daily duties. Okay. We're talking about file storage, internal communications, just regular communications, period. Whether it's your computer's file system or the company cloud storage, data should be password protected. You should also have a level of encryption. A level of encryption is your protection. If you do not have encryption enabled or implemented, that's also a vulnerability. If you're sending documents and sending and sharing folders over email, they need to be encrypted. You send to one company to another, or you send in other company emails only, some of those files may need to be encrypted. If you're storing files in a cabinet still, well, welcome to 2024. Okay. There are more ways and productive ways to operating your business. Putting files in a storage cabinet does nothing but create less productivity, more time wasted, and you actually lose focus on what needs to be done at hand. You'll also lose focus on what's more important. Then when you put them in a file cabinet, again, the accessibility. Those documents, those files are being accessible now to anyone. Not only even if you lock it, some people might say, well, we lock our cabinet. It doesn't matter. We still need to make sure we're being accessible. You need to find a way to archive those. And again, documents with paper, we all know paper do eventually, what is it called? Paper usually disintegrate. They turn color, especially if you have color on those documents or black ink. Okay. So recognizing threats and reporting them. That's number 5. We kind of covered this in the previous slide, but essentially, if you see something, say something. Number 6, staying updated on new cyber threats. Knowledge is power. You can't defend yourself against something if you don't know how it operates, right? This is the reason why we have cyber security training. So that's your role, all in a nutshell. If it seems like if it seems a lot to do on top of your regular responsibilities, that's because it's all new. This is all new information. This is all uncomfortable. We are all in a vulnerable state, but we all recognize this is uncomfortable. We don't understand it. We don't know it. We may not even want to do it. But the fact of the matter is, it's a habit that you have to form. And once you get started doing it, it becomes second nature. Now, since knowledge is power, let's get educated. Okay. In this next section, we're going to talk about the most common threats that you see. The first one is phishing. I just identified an example of a phishing email that came through that client's one of those personnel AOL's accounts. Well, I'll tell you about phishing. Phishing attacks are a type of social engineering tactic where cyber criminals send fraudulent emails, text messages, or website links to trick users into revealing sensitive information, such as login credentials, personal data, or even trying to make you pay for something. I get a lot of those. People are constantly getting information, especially from the IRS, about you need to pay a bill. Well, nobody wants to get in trouble about the IRS, so what we do? Oh, the IRS said we owe something, we're gonna go ahead and pay for it and knock it out. The IRS will never send you correspondence through email. It always, always, always come through mail. This information can be then used to commit fraud, identity theft, or even gain unauthorized access to your system. Second here, we have malware. Malware is short for malicious software. It's a broad term that encompasses various types of harmful softwares, such as viruses, worms, and Trojan horses. These programs can infiltrate, damage, disrupt computer systems, steal sensitive data, and even allow hackers to gain unauthorized access to your network. Next, we have ransomware. Ransomware is a specific type of malware that encrypts a victim's data, rendering it inaccessible until a ransom is paid. You probably hear it all over the news. You see it not in the paper, but you see it all over the social media networks. Healthcare. The healthcare reform has got hit with ransomware about 2 months ago, securing and basically shutting down any type of medical practices that can make payments or pay out claims. You hear it all the time, okay? These attacks have actually been on the rise, targeting businesses, governments, and even individuals alike, causing significant financial and operational damage. Then we have social engineering. Social engineering is the tactic of manipulating, influencing, and deceiving a victim in order to gain control over your computer system, or even steal personal or financial information. It uses psychological manipulation to trick users into making security mistakes and or giving away sensitive information. You need to make sure before you give any information, you are aware of who you're talking to. Make sure in the email that comes through your email, that person's name you recognize in that email address, but then look at the full email address. Make sure it doesn't say, you may know Joe. So it may say Joe at helpinghands.com, right? But then the email you receive may say Joe at helpingtoomanyhands.com. That's not the proper email address. So just because you see Joe's name, you click on it. Now we're in trouble. As an insider, now this becomes an insider threat because now they get inside. And an insider threats refers to a cybersecurity risk that originates from within the organization. It typically occurs when a current or former employee, contractor, vendor, or partner uses their credentials, misuses their access to determine of the networks, systems, and data. Insider threats are the cause of most breaches. Traditional cybersecurity strategies, policies, procedures, and systems often focus on external threats, leaving the organization vulnerable to attacks from within. Because the insider already has a valid authorization to data, And systems is difficult for security professionals like us and applications to distinguish between normal and harmful activity. That's when we circle back to, if you see something, say something, right? All right, we've educated you on what's out there. Let's talk about how we're going to prevent them. Now, we've already talked about creating strong passwords. What we didn't cover is multi-factor authentication, which is also MFA. If you use social media, you probably encountered this. Usually you sign in, you'll get a window that says we need you to authenticate or verify your identity. Then it asks you to send a code to your email or your phone. Or when you withdraw money from your bank, they ask you to insert your card. That's the first form of verification, right? Then they have you enter in your PIN. That's the second form of verification. That's MFA. Your management should also have a company-wide MFA system for important applications like email, file storage, and other operating systems. If they don't, if you don't, then you need to come talk to us before there is an MFA option on most applications. You can usually find it in your settings. However, if you don't know what it looks like, not saying nothing, not doing anything, puts you at more harm's risk. Once you've taken care of those systems, the side of things, you need to form some better habits. You should be updating your system. Stop ignoring those update notifications. I know a lot of us sit there, we're seeing a side. System needs to update, or PC is going to restart, needs to restart after the update. And you just say, okay, do it later, or you push it to the side. The more you ignore those updates, now you're not getting the newer update permissions, protocols that basically the manufacturers, the people, the developers, they saw different things that we need to update. So if the system has a flaw and you don't update it, you still have that flaw. Does that make sense? So you should be updating your system. Stop ignoring those updates. Those updates just don't need to make your OS or application system look pretty. They also include patches for vulnerabilities. Like I just said, a lot of the time, that's the main reason for updates and releases. Some hackers somewhere found the system's vulnerability and essentially blew a hole in the side of that house. The patch fixes the hole, then reinforces that hole to make sure it doesn't happen again. You'll also need to connect to secure networks only. A lot of us go out to the library, maybe go to coffee shops, McDonald's, whatever the case may be, and we connect and click on those free open networks. You have to be careful about clicking on those free open networks. Those companies that are offering those, they don't put security there. Now their stuff may be secure, but there's no really security there that's going to help protect you or your machine. So this is another inside and outside of work habit. If you work remotely or take work home, you need to make sure your home network is secure. If not, a hacker could lay in and wait on your network, and then you yourself could be bringing in that malware to the office and let them come into your work applications. And work applications, meaning once they get on your personal laptop, they get on your home network, now they're on your work stuff. Now you may go to work, you may have more security at work than you do at home. But once you go home and you start working and operating, if they gain access from your home, Now they're in your system. They get back to your work. They're still watching everything you're doing. Okay. So if you use public networks on your phone and then connect to the office network, the same thing will happen. Finally, final habits here, folks. Okay. Proper data disposal. Your entire company should be getting rid of your data, getting rid of data that is more than 3 years old. What you need to know is how. This can differ from company to company, but if you don't know what your company's process is, you need to advocate for your security and your organization's security, and ask to one who has implemented this. If you get these protocols under your belt, you'll be significantly reducing your company's risk of getting hacked. So a few slides back, we talked about creating and maintaining a security culture. Now let's get further into how we cultivate that security environment. If your management team is doing their part, all of the network and application access should be limited on the departments that you are involved in. Now, please understand that this is not a representation of your management's trust in you, because it's actually one of the strongest recommendations to business owners by the cybersecurity community. This helps increase your productivity and all that noise, all the extra stuff that's around their site there that you don't need to see or you don't need to listen to. Meanwhile, it's going to keep your business secure by limiting the amount of people a hacker could exploit to gain access to confidential information. If a hacker thinks the door to your shed in the backyard is the front door to your house, they are going to be really disappointed when they all find out it's the lawnmower, okay? Because they ain't getting nothing. Now, the lawnmower helps you maintain your house. It has a lot of value to you. To a burglar, though, lawnmowers aren't really worth the way they want to try to steal it, okay? Now this part is a little bit more for the business owners and this call, but it's important for those of you who are employees to understand. We discuss in a deep depth about incident response plans. In our previous webinar about securing technology against hackers, we'll also be holding another webisode where we help business owners draft their own in the future. But employees, depending on their position, will need to be involved in a lot of these steps. People, I want to make sure I'm talking slowly and making sure you're understanding the exact words what I'm saying. This is very, very important. It's just like you just making sure you have your license, your registration. It's making sure you have your social security card, your identification. You need to take this serious. Now, what I want to make sure and talk to you again now is we're here. We already talked about the preparation and what you need to know. Who you're reporting to. What are your next steps? And the signs of a breach from your training. Identification through the end. It's mostly handled between management and a security service provider. Once again, we're always learning from a breach. That could mean that there could be changes to how your company operates, secures data after any breach. All right, we aren't going to go spend too much time with this, but I will take a moment to say that whether you're a business owner or an employee, know that you do not have it. That you do not have an incident response plan, you need to talk to us. If your incident response plan does not look something like this, you need to call and make a discovery call with us, which is free. And it only takes about 30 minutes. Will be exactly 30 minutes of your time. You will meet with me to learn where you are with your cybersecurity to get started on bolstering your security. If you're like me, your business means a lot to you. It's very important. It's your bread and butter. It's your baby. You built it. You built your reputation. We all know how long it takes to build reputation. We all know how long it takes to just build your community, build within your community. So you don't want all that to go away being negligent and not taking any necessary steps that you need to take. So I said it before and I'll say it again. Do your training. If you don't have a cybersecurity training program, that's something your management team needs to get moving on yesterday. But if you do have one and you know you never do it, then you are in danger to your company. But let's say you do have one and you are doing cybersecurity training. Is it effective? We all can have things. I talked to you earlier about a client who had ESET as their virus protection. The first thing they said was, well, we have virus protection. Why didn't it help us? Because it wasn't effective. So you have to make sure whatever you have, whatever you're using, you could have been using, it could be outdated, it could be not structured. You could have had a previous person develop the system. Who knows? I don't know. But that's why we're here. We're here to help you. Cyber attacks don't care if you have a system that's old. Cyber attacks don't care if you are implementing something, but it's not being helpful. What I do know is cyber attacks will shut down your business. And the knowledge and awareness that comes from a cybersecurity training reduces that risk. Make sure you understand me. It reduces the risk. Throughout this whole webinar, I talked about reducing, lowering your risk. I never once said, make sure you get this understand. It's not going to cure it. It's not going to make sure you don't get it. It's not going to make sure it's not going to happen because you're going to get hit. But it reduces your risk. It reduces your chances from getting hit. Now, what if your company gets hacked? What if your company gets shut down? What if your IT department traces that breach down to you? Or what if your IT department totally misses it? Your IT department are not trained cybersecurity experts like us. The IT department, cybersecurity experts, they're two different things. So I will even also evaluate or reevaluate your IT team because it's very well possible your IT team are still doing the old, outdated things back 4 or 5 years ago, and nothing has changed. Or is your IT team updating you and your team on what needs to happen? Matter of fact, are you even aware of what's going on from your cybersecurity team or from your IT team? Excuse me. This is where we come in. I can't speak for everyone, but as a business owner, okay, as a business owner, that breach, then I look at how often you're completing training. When you get that breach, how often are you completing training? When you do get that breach, we're going to look and see the results. You know, do you have a comprehensive report from your employees or just from yourself on if they took the training, if it's being monitored, if they're doing it? Do you have that ability? Is your IT team doing that? I can most guarantee I am, without knowing, I'm about 95% sure your IT team is not. And the reason being, they're not cybersecurity experts. They do not have the means to be able to break down the process and look beyond where the hackers are. A lot of us have been back in the day. We're still 5, 10 years ago, what we used to do, those implementations are still there. When was the last time you updated your equipment? When was the last time you updated your network or your computer devices or your phones, your phone systems? These are all part of it. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're slacking on it, there will be some serious consequences. I'd maybe revoke your access to more confidential areas of the company. Because if I feel like you're being negligent and you're not handling your current processes properly, we need to shut things down to make you not vulnerable. Because they're looking at you. They see what you're doing. The hackers see what you're doing. So don't get that twisted. They do see you. Depending on the severity of a breach and the extent of your willingness or willfulness to be incompetent, I might even have to let you go. So with that being said, if you're not practicing the protocols that we put in place, we're not the ones that want to be negligent or be responsible. But we're providing the training, we're providing the resources. If you want to stay in the Stone Age with your current IT company, because they're not moving up, they don't have the proper training, then you guys would drop the ball and it will be dropped, the ball will be dropped badly. And a lot of people will try to do what is called a do-it-yourself system. So do yourself a favor, just do the training. All right, I'd like to wrap this up here. We're getting close to our time. Here, with any thoughts? I hope I have given you some insight on how important this is. If you don't feel like this is important, again, continue watching the news. As soon as you're done with this Lunch and Learn series here, just Google, okay, cybersecurity training. It's all over the place. You see the lack of cybersecurity training in so many companies is not even funny. But not only that, it's the lack of your current IT companies not displaying what needs to happen. So you have an IT company, an IT person, a person who they're the IT person of you, they're more IT mindset than everyone else, then I think you need to set up a time where you talk to me for that 30-minute conversation. I can at least give you some enlightenment just to be able to learn more about your operation and how you're set up. And then we can take it from there. Okay? It's very, very important. But here's a quote that I love and I talked about and I think about a lot. Cybersecurity is no longer just a technology issue. It's a business one also. It's a business one. That's from the Forbes magazine. But it's what the cybersecurity industry has been saying for the past few years now. And it is used to fall on deaf ears. Things have definitely been changing. We here at TCS have been doing our part with this series where we reach out into the global community and offer access to information that is hard to digest in its current format. This quote is so valid though. The cybersecurity industry has done its part in creating and improving the tools. Now is the time for us to all come together and use them against the hackers who have been preying on us since the beginning of the internet age. Again, folks, doing nothing will make you even more vulnerable. Doing nothing. Okay, we're going to open this door. Take this time to just elaborate and think about. We're going to open the door for questions. Chantel, did you get anything in the chat during our training?
No, it seems like everybody really understood what was going on. I did have a question, and I was thinking about it, is how often would you maybe recommend that companies issue training sessions, or issue modules for training, so that everyone stays up to date, everyone knows what's new, what's out there, and what the tactics are to defend themselves.
Yeah, I mean, what we're doing is we're implementing this every month. Before we were doing it every 3 months. The reason why I went away from the 3 months every month is because a lot of things can change between month 1 to month 3. So implementing these new doors, this is where the cyber team, the cyber experts can help you keep you abreast on what's coming out, what's new, what needs to be looked at, what we're overlooking. So with that being said, we need to make sure we're paying attention to the newest and latest things that comes out. Because sometimes now 3 months can be too late. Yeah. So I recommend we look at these things monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything changes so fast, right? So, okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah. All righty.
And that's what it is. Everything changes very fast.
Yeah.
What was going on yesterday is outdated.
Yeah.
I was just talking to our technician here, Wasim, earlier this morning about, hey, making sure certain clients have these certain stacks, these certain services implemented in their system. The reason being is if we miss the ball and drop the ball on a certain service that should be protecting or monitoring certain things, now we've got that door. That door gets open. It's almost like that side in the story we were talking about earlier. The side of the house gets hit. There's a hole. Now we need to patch it. We want to do things before we have to patch. We want to make it right the first time, right? A lot of times when you patch, also, patching can also lead to other leaks and things coming into the network. So we want to make sure cybersecurity training awareness should be also a number one thing on your radar to do. If you are not doing it, if you are doing it, I want to reevaluate how your cybersecurity training is being effective. Is it being effective? You need to look at all those processes. Get with your IT team. We can also do co-manage where we can work with your IT team as well. The IT team can currently still continuously do what they've been doing, and we can work right alongside of them and take care of the security processes. Because they both still go hand in hand. They're just other implementation pieces that has to be involved. And this happens whether you're on site, you're remote, it doesn't matter. So again, now I'm gonna go ahead and talk to the business owners and operators. Again, if you saw something today that your company does not have, you need to talk to us. Chantel is going to go ahead and drop that scheduling link in the chat here. So just copy and paste it in your new browser tab. And just like within the series, our entire mission is to help you get your cybersecurity set up. Our entire specialty is making sure that your business is secure and those systems are simple to manage. And a simple 30-minute meeting with me, which will be free, is a small piece of your day to set aside in comparison to a data breach that would end up that would basically either end up shutting your business down, right, for a few months or shut you down for good. And the reason why is because you're going to get sued. And when you get sued, trust me, the bad name in the community, hey, this person got stuff leaked. You're going to be on the tabloid. You're going to be in the social media area. This company got hit. This company information was exposed. Their tax information was exposed. All their lawyer or their information. You don't want that. Sleepless nights, restless days. You're being under the scrutiny of your insurance company, and Lord forbid you don't have cybersecurity insurance. Okay, but that's another day, because these are all pieces of what we do to ensure that your cybersecurity is set up. I say it every time. It's not about if you will get hacked, it's when and what you're going to do about it. So why not make sure your team is up to date, up to speed, you are up to date, up to speed, and let's make sure these processes are done correctly the first time. Do not do a do-it-yourself system. I guarantee you, you put a system together for yourself, you can go out there, oh, McAfee or Norton. Norton's got this Norton VPN with all these, they say they do endpoint protection. Look, I'm not here to talk bad about none of these vendors, but what I will tell you is you need to get with a qualified company who understands, one, what's going on. Two, you have a personal relationship with them. It's hard to call up a company through an 800 number and you'll get 2 or 3 or 4 different types of reps, or you never speak to the same rep. Or if you do talk to the same rep, it's just the guy who made the sale on you. They don't have your best interest. They're just salespeople. We have your best interest. We're looking to grow with you, build with you, secure, and make sure you are able to concentrate on your business and keep you updated on the latest crap that's out there, basically. On a nutshell. That's what we're here to do. Okay. Well, with that being said, we're going to go on and let you get back to your lunch and your workday. I want to thank you all for joining us as well. If you have any questions about our services or would rather schedule over the phone, please feel free to reach out to Lawrence. He's on that call on this call as well. I've got his information listed here, but Lawrence, why don't you go ahead and just drop your email in the chat as well so people can copy and paste it easier. Also, don't forget to register for our next webinar on May 1st. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week. And again, do something yesterday. Okay? All right. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next month.